What's up, ladies and gentlemen? How y'all doing tonight? It's me, your host, the Saint, here with my trusty co-host somewhere along his buttons somewhere. Hold on. Where's my producer? I need a producer. Do I have an assistant? Do I have a producer? Do I have anybody? I don't know. Hey, there
So
he is.
you got to pay attention. The stones stay cold, making the drink cold. It's science. Oh, hey, Ron.
Science. Hey, well, the
Yeah,
producer must have brought you on. How you doing?
doing great. You want my drinky drink? Telling Lorenzo how whiskey stones work. I can't complain.
I got a set of those for Christmas last year. I got this
Nice.
glass. Well, this is obviously not that glass, but so it's got like this cutout in it, and it'll hold your cigar in it like that. And then it's got four of those stones. That's
That's
awesome.
pretty dope. That's
It
pretty
is.
dope.
It's got four of them stones, or three or four of them stones, or whatever. You keep them in there. Me personally, what I do is I just throw like six ice cubes in my glass, and then pour the my beverage of choice into my glass, and then go from there into whatever I'm going to have or whatever I'm going to do. Whether that means sitting outside smoking a cigar by a fire, sitting outside smoking a cigar by a fire on air, or sitting outside
I,
not
I
not
see
not
that. I
by a
see the
fire.
little
But
fire. You're doing a little. You're
yeah,
doing a little camping. I see.
yeah, definitely not camping. Definitely not camping. I've done enough camping. Um, I lived in a camper for a little bit. That we call that the rebuild stage. But yeah, we lived in a 32-foot fifth wheel for a couple years. After we moved down here in the south, we lived on our property while our house was being built. Yada yada. But anyway, so look, I've got our guest on. He's in the backstage. We're getting ready to bring him on, and we're going to talk
Nice.
about the events that happened in Welford.
We got it.
I I've got that pulled up. I've got we got to talk about Hannibal TV. There's something going on in Canada that he's involved in. He's got something going on in Florida. He's involved. This guy's involved in everything. There's a reason he's called the King of Connecticut. There's a reason he is an MMA Hall of Famer in the state of Florida. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome our guest at this time, Mr. Matthew Granahan. I hit the button.
Did you hit the button?
He's I hit the button. He's here. He's there, but he's not there.
Oh,
His phone
there he is.
froze.
I see what you're saying.
His phone froze as soon as that happened. But anyway, well, so look, let me tell you. So you saw the picture, right? You saw the picture.
Yeah,
That
and it
that led
quickly
us
got turned
here.
into a meme, and then quickly got turned into a T-shirt.
Yeah, all of the above. Yeah. So here's the shirt. The shirt got shot. I broke Bill Hazelwood's arm, and you want proof that we were there? That's a Wrestling Wire T-shirt hanging up behind him. Great advertising right there. Well, he just dropped out of the studio. He'll be back momentarily. Most likely, what occurred was, he just sent me a message. He can't hear us.
Can't hear us.
He would probably have to turn his phone up. That might be the other
Yes, he
thing.
probably has us on the speakers. But you were there live, and
Yeah.
would you say it was a vicious attack, or
So
coordinated, or just out of the blue? Was it needed?
he can hear us now.
Yeah.
What is up, sir?
Hey, yeah, I couldn't hear you guys the first time. I had my volume up, but I think I just left the studio and came back. I hear you fine now, brother.
Right on. Well, welcome to the show, Mr. Granahan. How you been?
Great, man. It's a pleasure to be on the show, The Wrestling Wire. Fantastic show. And the last time I saw you, Ron, we were at the spectacular Welford Pavilion. Awesome place. What a great show that was. Good time.
Beautiful
Great
venue.
to be back with South Kakalaki.
Well, I mean, you were in South Kakalaki earlier in the day. You were hanging out with another legend of professional wrestling, and that's Chuck Sloan.
Yes, I was. I was jamming with Chuck. We went to a place that they affectionately call Lukenbach Park after Lukenbach, Texas, and the old Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings song, and was jamming out with Chuck out there with some of the other musicians and poets and such. Had a great time. And earlier in the day, Chuck and I were having wings and a couple cold ones with Trevor, who I work with the American Values Super PAC, Bobby Kennedy Jr.'s Super PAC that I'm an executive consultant with those guys. And I introduced them to Chuck, and it was a great day, man. It was a great trip. I lived in South Carolina for years, and I've been out of there almost 2 years. I was in the Midlands, out in Lake Murray area for several years, 13 years. And I was out on Johns Island for a couple of years. So it was great to get back there, man. Great, all with one exception, except for that one loudmouth I had to shut up, you know?
Yeah, I don't understand why Hazelwood feels the need to do some of the things that he does. That's with all due respect to Hazelwood, but he does have a tendency to put his foot in his mouth, and you shut his mouth up because by the end of it, he had blood coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, man. I was responded to Hazelwood, man. I first met him back in the day, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, when I was roasting my good friend Dan the Beast Severn in Greenville. And they had the voice of the Carolinas, Bill Hazelwood, hosting that roast. And he was a loudmouth then. And then, I responded to some of his posts belittling the boys on Facebook. And, I told him that he needed to be shut up. And then when I was out there with Chuck Sloan, Chuck told me he told him where I was going. And he said, you got to shut that guy up, man. And then it was funny, I got to the show. I ran into a couple folks. I won't say any names, but someone that I had known from another school that I had brought Phil Baroni and Kamal Shalarus to train with me at in South Carolina Pro Wrestling School. A great guy runs. And a couple of those guys were telling me, this guy's a big mouth. He just doesn't have respect for the boys. And, something about me, I've been wrestling for 4 decades. I started competing in wrestling almost 40 years ago. And I've always held wrestling sacred, the way that a woman holds her newborn baby and holds it sacred, the way that a devout Christian holds the Bible sacred. And history and heritage and respect are words that are foreign to Bill Hazelwood.
Well, one statement that kind of resides with me is you can't build for the future by destroying the current. You can't destroy today and then try to put the rubble together to make a good foundation for your future. It doesn't work that way. And that carries into not just wrestling, but it carries into everything. So like I go the extra mile to teach my kids, respect and how to treat people and things like that. My daughter at 11 years old works my merch table, and she's one of the most professional kids you'll ever meet in your life because she's there. She's about the brand, and she's trying to do everything she can do to help move everything forward.
Yeah, my daughter is an adult now, in her 20s, and she knows respect. And Bill, being an older man, you would think he would know respect as well. And you talk about tearing down the current. Bill is constantly belittling the boys, but he doesn't get in the ring himself. He doesn't put his body on the line. And, I'm not going to insult the fans' intelligence. I went out there with Bill to promote another show, a fundraiser up in Connecticut for Norwalk Wrestling. I had headlined a fundraiser there 6 years ago, and I'm going to be taking on a true legend of Connecticut wrestling, Spiro Papakosmos, who's in the Hall of Fame. He's one of the top 5 for total wins from the Norwalk Wrestling program, and an old teammate of mine. And I may not respect the Greeks there in my hometown like Spiro that are slumlords and degrading the town. But I respect him as a wrestler, and Bill and I did have a plan, to go out, and I love to use pro wrestling as a way to make statements. And I don't like what's going on in the Middle East right now. I studied that since college, and the Ziocons drive me crazy. I mean, I say, Zionism is heavily rooted in Great Britain and in England. And I say, we gained our independence from the British, but we ironically surrendered our sovereignty to Zionism. And I said to Bill, I'm going to bring back my old Sheik character. And he wanted me to slap him just to let the fans know. And I decided just to take it a little bit further and play with him a little bit, kind of like a cat plays with a ball of yarn. And I hit him with a little snap down and hammerlock. And then the technical execution of a hammerlock. I teach DT, and I've been coaching amateur wrestling and competing in MMA and coaching MMA for over 15 years. And the move that I used on him, the hammerlock, I just turned his palm skyward, and I put a little pressure, not too much, but a little bit of pressure on his shoulder and on his wrist and ulna bone. And you saw he was whining like a baby and made such a big deal about it. But, the wrestling ain't ballet, man. And I have great respect for wrestling in all forms and professional wrestling. And I needed to teach Bill a little lesson in respect. And hopefully now he's going to respect the boys a little more at these shows.
That would be a perk. That would definitely be a perk for an outcome of that.
Yeah, I've known Bill for a while, and he's he's not a bad guy. He's a bright guy, he's an intelligent guy, but he's kind of like the love child of Jim Cornette and Morton Downey Jr. The way he behaves and some of the level of disrespect that he shows to the boys, and we're all there to respect one another. And of course, we want to entertain the fans, but Bill crosses the line, and he went on Hannibal TV. He went on actually with Colin Crandall from MMA Power Hour. I've known Colin for a number of years. I've been a guest on his show, MMA Power Hour, a number of times, and he reached out to Colin specifically to interview him, and he was like a whiny child in that interview.
Well, it's uncanny, but I owe you a thank you for this, because that was the loudest cheer I ever got for announcing, was to take over because he was injured and couldn't continue. I took the match cards right out of his pocket, and somebody's got to do this, and I know how to work a mic. Let's go. So
you know what they say: the show must go on.
You got the Road Warrior pop when you took the mic from Bill, because I think the fans were a little tired of hearing that loudmouth.
Most definitely. I've actually got the video pulled up here. I know we'll be able to hear it, and I hope that the crowd can't. If the crowd can't, and they send me a message in the comments, if they say something in the comments, I will, just skip to the part where you wreck him, and we'll just go from there.
Sure.
So I'm gonna pull up that
roll
video
that beautiful bean footage.
In 1 second, let me go ahead and hit play right here.
The Welford Pavilion, man, has become world famous. There's no such thing as bad publicity. Jimmy Ward has done an amazing job of putting this together. It's a great facility. As a matter of fact, I'm going to bring a guy, and he's actually come up from Florida. He's a Florida MMA Hall of Famer. He's a Division I wrestler. He's from Norwalk, Connecticut, but he's been in the South a number of years. We call him the King of Connecticut, the suntan Superman. I've known him for decades. Let's give it up for my man, Matt Granahan. Thank you, brother, for coming up here. You heard about the Welford Pavilion. Man, is this a great facility or what?
You know, in order to truly appreciate the Welford Pavilion, you gotta be here live. This place is spectacular.
Unreal, man. You're from Norwalk, Connecticut. You've been down in the South for a number of years. You work that tan look, all that stuff. As a matter of fact, you've got a big show coming up in December in Norwalk, correct?
That's right. It's a fundraiser for my old wrestling team, the Norwalk Bears. I'm taking on a gentleman named Spiro Papakosmos.
Spiro Papakosmos. Okay, anyway, I'm from the South. I can't. Spiro. Now, it's been a number of years since you've been back to Norwalk. You know, I was up there a couple of months ago doing a boxing event. Beautiful city. And, of course, you know me. I'm a chatty little man. I mentioned your name, and everybody heard of you. Everybody heard of the King of Connecticut. Everybody heard of the Suntan Superman. But I got to tell you, brother, I'm just relaying information. You really didn't come along across in the bright light that you think you did. They told me, now, again, I'm just relaying information. They told me that the last time you were up there in 2017, you did a charity event, and you and the promoter kept all the money. That's what they said. That's what they said. Now, I know you were a Division I wrestler. I know you're in the Florida MMA Hall of Fame. But also, I heard that Spiro in high school used to wipe the mat with your head. Used to wipe the mat with your head. That's what they're telling me, man. That's what they're telling me. Again, I'm just relaying information. No, don't do that. No. But also, I've always known you as Matt Granahan. You know, you've got a huge Italian population up there, which is what you are, what you told me you were. They got a huge Greek population up there. Spiro's Greek. Okay? I heard the Greeks run the town, not the Italians. But I also heard, and again, I'm just relaying the information, that your grandfather in the 70s had a restaurant, and his last name wasn't Granahan, man. It was Vasari. It was Mohammed Hussein Vasari. And he got ran out of town for poisoning the Jews.
What are you doing, man? Ow! Help me! Help! Stop! Ow! Stop it! Ow! Stop!
All right, people. I'm going to tell you a story, okay? Story time. It's story time.
That looked like it hurt.
It's story time, people. Let me put this on. All right, people. This is a story I was told by an old Jewish lawyer. It's a story about an Arab man in the Middle East. And he was walking through the desert with his tongue hanging out of his mouth. All this man wanted was a bottle of water. And he came upon an Israeli store with a storekeeper with an attitude like Bill. And he opened the door and he said, "Sir, I just want a bottle of water." And the storekeeper said, "We don't sell water, sir. I sell ties. And it's $150 a tie." The Arab man said, "What am I going to do with a $150 tie? I just need water." And the Israeli storekeeper, he said, "Well, look out the window in the back and you'll see up the sand dune. At the top of the sand dune is a restaurant. It's my brother's restaurant. I'm sure he has water for you. And the Arab man, dying of thirst, he crawls up the sand dune, crawls up to the restaurant, and he crawls all the way back to the store. And he opens up this door of the store. He's on all fours. He's panting. His tongue is on the ground. And the Israeli storekeeper, he says, "How did it go with my brother?" The Arab man, he says, "I talked to your brother. He said he didn't have water in his restaurant, but then I needed a tie to get in." That's what's going on right now in the Middle East, people. Let me tell you, every single human rights organization in the world sees Gaza as a concentration camp. They all see it as an apartheid state. And I am going to continue to lay people like this man to waste until the genocide in Gaza ends. Because I hold you people responsible for your Zionism in your church and all throughout the South here. And I want to bring out a friend of mine. Hit my music.
Hey, roll him over. Roll him over. Hey, hold still. Hold still. Hey, thank you. I need these.
Oh shit. Hold on. Oh shit. God damn, I'm bleeding, man. It's not good. I'm on blood thinners, man.
Yeah, blood coming.
Hold on. No, hold on. Oh.
With the blood coming out of his mouth. Let's get Mr. Hazelwood to the back, all right?
Oh.
Wow.
Man, you know, it's funny. I sit and I watch that and I think about the way Bill Hazelwood bullies and belittles the boys on his posts and on his social media. And he's much like the way Israel bullies the Palestinians. And he got what he deserved. And just like a bully, you see him crying and whining, which happens when you confront a bully. And I noticed there that the right side of his eye was puffy from the snap down when his head bounced off the wood partition. And, you know, just a little taste there. I mean, like I said, I gave him just a little crank on the hammerlock. I didn't crank it fully, but I wanted just to give him a little taste of the art and the science of wrestling.
Right. Now, I recently made a post, and I put it out there on my personal page because it did touch on a little bit of a sensitive issue, but the post was pretty simple. It said that if Sami Zayn can go do business in the Middle East, and we know that the Middle East has been warring for thousands upon thousands
Yeah.
of years, if they've had that conflict for thousands of years, then your little piddly crap that you want to argue over here is stupid, and just go get your bag, go get your money, go get paid, go work. It's that simple to me.
Absolutely, man. You know, Bill Hazelwood, he represents something in professional wrestling, which is the trolls. And you have it in mixed martial arts, and you have it in professional wrestling, have it in grappling, and you get these guys that they write on the computer, but when they're actually confronted with some real wrestling, that's what happens. They crumble and they crumple up. And you know, I respect everyone's political views. I wanted to use that just as a way to bring back the Sheik. I had been the Sheik back 15 years ago, and yes, Bill was right. I was supposed to slap him, but it's not like, you know, I went full bore on him. I just cranked his arm a little bit, and you see the crying, you see the whining, and I was told many years ago when I got into pro wrestling, I'm wearing Frankie Kane's robe there, the great Mephisto, who was one of my mentors. You know, was a great professional wrestler. He came out of the boxing and wrestling, take on all comers ranks and smokers fighter, and Billy Wicks as well, who was an old mentor of mine. And they both told me, they said, you tell those people there's not a damn thing that you do in that ring or on that stage there that you can't do to every one of those people that are paying to see you. And Bill got just a little taste of it. And we have to all remember that marquee. It doesn't say stunt show. It doesn't say freak show. It doesn't say burlesque show. It says wrestling. And Bill Hazelwood learned that. And hopefully he learned a valuable lesson. And hopefully he won't be belittling the boys anymore.
Right. David, what's your take on what you just saw?
That's some heel shit.
Yeah, that's
Enough
true.
said. You sent the statement. You sent it to the crowd. You sent it to the people. It's a hell of a statement.
You send it to the boys in the back. Now everybody knows that any show that Hazelwood works, until he decides to hang up the microphone and let somebody else do it. Any show he's on, if he steps on the wrong person, that can happen.
Yes, and hopefully he'll think before he gets his Weasley little hands out and types on his Facebook and belittles the boys. He's made many posts belittling the boys, and it's disgusting to me because he doesn't put his body on the line. He doesn't get in that ring. And it was Chuck Sloan who first told me, and like I said, a couple of the boys in the back, you know, this guy, he needs to be shut up. And hopefully we've seen the last of his bullying and belittling. And if he does it again, you know, I may have to go back to South Carolina or wherever he is and teach him a lesson once again.
Well, he's normally not too hard to find. He posts everywhere he's going to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I haven't talked to him. You know, he was whining that I didn't call him and didn't check up on him. And who knows what he's up to here. I know he's got friends with Jeff Neal, who's Neil Koloff, who's a guy I know very well from the upstate of South Carolina, was actually roommates and teammates in college with a young man that I trained for MMA. That's a really good friend of mine, Steve Volponi, and Jeff's. And he may be looking, maybe he's going to try to get Jeff or he's going to try to get somebody else, but he won't do it. He won't put his body on the line.
So in other words, he's going to hire a surrogate to come at you, is what you think?
Quite possibly. And I'm looking out for the possibility of that.
Well, that's definitely a smart idea. But then again, you're not in the Florida Hall of Fame for MMA for no reason.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm an older guy, but I still coach and train and grapple with the younger guys. Just with the legend Lee Kemp last week, and I heard also somebody scream to put on the spladle from the crowd, and the spladle was invented with by Wade Chalice, who's a champion Olympic wrestler that I'm involved with seminars with him and King Mo with Jake Shannon's organization, the Silence of Violence camps and Shoot Pro Wrestling, which is a great grappling promotion. So I mean, I'm still fit and I'm still ready for anyone that Bill wants to try to send my way. Any one of his proxies that he wants to send my way. Bill Hazelwood, I want you to listen to me closely, and I'll have you look in my eyes here, Bill Hazelwood. You need to learn the lesson well. Respect the boys.
Definitely. That's one of the things that we strive for is working with respectable promotions, working with respectable companies, working with respectable and respectful talent as well.
Yep.
That's a big thing in this business. I'm not going to go into too many details on it, but recently I was at a charity show and I was having a conversation with a young man and I didn't know who was standing next to him. But I said to him, I said, there's some people that treat this like a brotherhood. And I said, then you got me. I said, I'm actually going to treat you like a brother because that's what we're here for. We're here for, the overall betterment of the industry. We're here for the overall growth of this industry. And I didn't know who it was next to him. It was actually his mother. And his mother looked at me like, oh my gosh. Like, she's like, she asked him, do you really know that guy that well? No. I've seen him at a couple of shows he's worked. We work here in North Carolina a bit, but I don't know him I wouldn't know him from Adam,
Yeah, that's it. That's respect. It's about you have to have respect, and Bill comes into this business with disrespect, and it's one of those things where he might think it's funny. He might think it's funny that he belittles folks, but he wasn't laughing on that night with that clip that you showed. And hopefully he's going to come to his senses, and we won't see any of those posts where he just belittles everyone, acting like he knows it all. And that really just disgusted me, seeing that the weeks prior to coming back to South Carolina. And yeah, you guys have a phenomenal show. And I was there actually to promote a show in Norwalk, Connecticut, and the athletic director, Spiro's working with the coach now and the athletic director to firm up the date. It's going to be in conjunction with a pep rally that they're having at my old high school. It's going to be awesome to get back. It's going to be in December, 1st or 2nd Friday in December in Norwalk, Connecticut. And I should have a poster hopefully in the next couple of weeks, to promote that. And I wanted to thank Bill for giving me the opportunity to promote that. But you see, he tried to make it personal. And he tried to go after my family, and that's just a level of disrespect that I can't tolerate.
Right. And I want to go ahead and extend this to you. When you do get that poster, you send it to me, and we will promote it every Thursday until the show occurs.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, you guys. I really appreciate you guys having me on too. You have a great show. And I just want to reiterate that I was so impressed with that show and with the Welford Pavilion. I mentioned Trevor from American Value Super PAC. He actually brought his son and his son's friends to the show, and they had a great time. And man, that facility is world class. It is phenomenal.
It is. He's, I've been there working on it as well. Not nearly as much time and effort as Jimmy Ward has, but I have a machine I took over there, and some of the parking that's out back is, that backhoe dug that mess up, and then we graded it out. We got to go back and do a little bit more work during the off season. So we're waiting on a date for that.
Yeah, just to let people who haven't been there understand, they have a great locker room area. They have a great concession area. They have a great uh, merchandise area, and it's all encompassed in one pavilion facility. And they've got a beautiful stage. They've got a world class wrestling ring, and man, it kind of reminds me of some of the classic wrestling shows that I grew up watching years ago. You know, in the Mid Atlantic and the old NWA. It was just phenomenal. I think I actually think it's a better facility than Billy Corgan with the old NWA. It's truly world class.
It is up there. And hopefully Corrigan gets that TV deal straight, because I think that will be what propels the NWA into the future. The current NWA product needs a TV deal. And we heard it directly from Joe Kazana, actually, another name you may recognize. We heard it directly from him. He said it when we met him. Where were we at? Heroes to Legends Con in
Heroes
in
to
Tennessee.
Legends in Tennessee. Yep.
Yep. All right. So he said that if the NWA had a TV deal, they would probably be the second highest rated and second best wrestling promotion, and fighting for first.
And they have one coming up with a great network. And you know, guys, my phone it just, the charts just keep dropping like crazy whenever I'm in the StreamYard. So, but I can be with you here for a few more minutes. And I just want to say, with respect to the NWA, we're talking to Pat Kenny, and I was just on Briscoe's show, Briscoe Bradshaw, with Jake Shannon, to promote Shoot Pro Wrestling, which is a grappling promotion that I do with Jake Shannon. It's pretty cool. We have some rostered UFC guys. They can compete in grappling, and we're looking at doing the Jack Briscoe Memorial Cup coming up. We have Jerry Briscoe involved in promoting that with us, and we're going to be putting on tournaments, the King of Catch tournaments, which go on the mat tournaments. There's going to be one here in Florida, and there's going to be one in Hawaii, one in Italy, one out in Arizona, and then we're going to have the champions all compete on a pro wrestling show. We may be on with Jack Kilby's show that he's doing in New York with Bin Hameen, with Great North Wrestling's coming to New York. But I also talked to some of the folks in the Carolinas, and I mentioned to Jimmy Ward, we'd love to do something on one of his shows maybe next summer. But it's really cool. It's kind of like where pro wrestling MMA meet in the Shoot Pro Wrestling organization, and I'm excited about that as well.
Very cool. Well, if you need anything on any of those, you know, you can give us a call, and we'll see what we can do to help you out.
Thank you, guys. And you guys that have great honor and great respect and a great love for wrestling. And that's something that I hope we instilled the hard way in Bill Hazelwood.
Most definitely. Man, look, like I said, keep those posters coming. If you get any, send them directly to me, for especially the Briscoe Memorial. Definitely going to want to shed that one out there. I can remember watching them when I was a kid.
Yeah, Jerry's a great guy. You know, I first met Jerry. He actually was really interested in a young man that I was coaching, Tim Dudley, that went to University of Nebraska. He was second in the country, earned a spot on the world team in freestyle, phenomenal wrestler. And Jerry, you know, he goes to the amateur, or did go for WWE, and recruited there. And he's a great guy, man. And respect to him and Bradshaw, JBL. You know, they just had us on their podcast. And I'd love to come back on maybe with Jake when we're promoting one of our Shoot Pro events. Would be great. You love Jake Shannon. We have a great network of grappling coaching camps, as well as the Shoot Pro events. And we've got Bobby Kennedy Jr. going out to a UFC coming up. Can't give the date because of security reasons, but coming up in the next month or so. And out going to the camps, to Jake's camps, and King Mo, who's done some pro wrestling. You may remember from TNA, MMA legend. I'm going to see later this week. He's involved with the Shoot Pro and our Silence of Violence camps as well. And I want folks to also check me out on the Hannibal TV. I've got a lot of great commentaries and videos and some of the fights I called with the late, great Stephan Bonner that are on there. Bonner was my broadcast partner throughout the Southeast in regional MMA events. And we lost him, unfortunately, Christmas Eve. And also urge folks to listen to the audiobook. The book I wrote with Stephan Bonner, all about stories from his life. I put it in audiobook form. It's called Chaotic Enlightenment. And it's on Johnny A. Light from the old Gambino family, his podcast, which is a popular podcast channel. And I think Bill Hazelwood knows my connections in that world as well, knows I'm not a man to mess with. So I don't think he's really thinking too much about retaliation. But if he wants to bring a proxy for me to wrestle, Bill, just let me know, because I'm down, brother.
Well, I have a question. You saw the roster, you saw the pavilion, you were there for that. Is there anybody on that roster that you saw that you might take on as an opponent, or you'd be interested in taking on as an opponent?
Yeah, there's a young guy there that I met years ago with Kamal Shalarus when we were training with Amp Dominic. And I don't want to say the name wrong. He's a great young wrestler. Brino. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Brino. Yeah, he's a great Brino Royce. Yeah, he's a great wrestler. And like that old dog that's had all he can stand, but not quite all he wants. You know, this match with Spiro. I had retired from pro wrestling after my match with Stephan Bonner that we did with the Legends and Vixens with the mixed tag. But just like Terry Funk, you know, for the right opportunity, I'll always come out of retirement for a match.
Right. Well, if you need help getting a hold of Brino, I can definitely help with that one. Brino and I travel a lot together. It got to the point where when Brino would walk into my house, he would already know doors unlocked. Come on in. If you need something to eat, it's in the kitchen. Go ahead and help yourself. The moment he'd walk in the door, because he'd have all of his belts and everything because we're traveling, the kids would run up to him, Uncle Brino. And
that's awesome.
He'd be like, he'd put one belt on one of them, put one belt on the other one. They'd run around the house like they're the champions. It was the coolest thing, man.
He's a great guy, man. And at Amp out in Johanna, South Carolina, I had Phil Baroni training with me out there, and Kamal Shalarus, the Prince of Persia from UFC. And Amp's a great guy, man. Amp was my tag team partner too when we did oh my God, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on what our tag team name was. The Damsel's Delight tag team with Amp Dominic. I did some matches with in the Carolinas. He's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm about to cut out. I don't want to be rude. Yeah, I don't want to be rude and drop out, but I think when this gets to 5%, sometimes my camera shuts up. But I want to thank you guys, man. This has been awesome.
Well, thank you. And I definitely agree with Amp Dominic. That's a guy who's got a character that not a lot of people can do and not a lot of people can handle. But when you talk about it and you hear guys like Dr. Tom Pritchard say, I got lost in YouTube on Amp Dominic, man, you've got something special. You know how I met Amp? I met Amp through I met Amp through Matt Perkle introduced me to him. Matt Perkle, I used to do clinics for his MMA school, Carolina Combat. He coached, and also I did some seminars for Emerald High School where he used to coach wrestling with his son Cody. He used to work with me, doing some stuff. And he introduced me to Amp, and Amp's the real deal, man. He's a solid wrestler and an entertaining dude, man. I'll have to send you some of my old matches and promos with Amp. We had a great time with the Damsel's Delight. Oh, if you send them to me, I'll share them with David so we can sit back and watch them. But, man, either way, thank you very much for being here. I know your phone's probably about to say F you, but, I wanted to say thank you for being on the show. And hell, if it worked and Hazelwood's going to be more respectful to the boys, I view that as nothing but a win. Definitely. I hope so. I hope you learned your lesson, Hazelwood.
Thank you so much, guys. I'm on like 2%, so I don't want to be rude and have it shut off. But I will give you an old joke that's been. You heard this joke that's been going around? What's 230 pounds, dashingly handsome, and disappears in an instant?
I saw that coming.
I did too. Unfortunately, there. Once he said disappears in an instant, I knew where we were going with that. But either way, man, I got no problem with Granahan or what he said or what he did. I really don't. You can't attack somebody on a personal level like that and not anticipate some form or fashion of retaliation. That'd be like me picking on you for something on a personal level, or vice versa.
No, but can you shoot the messenger? I feel like he went shoot on the messenger is what he did.
So hold on.
See what I did? See what I did there? He went shoot on the messenger.
Yeah, I picked up what you were putting down. It was quite punny.
Yeah.
But
thank you.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Where did the information come from? Was that a reliable source? That's one. Then the second thing is that reliable source going to see what happened when you open your mouth against Granahan? So you got that to add to the mix. Now, when Granahan goes up north, and goes up there for this event, is that guy going to be anywhere near it? Probably not. The person who told Hazelwood's more than likely not going to show up anywhere near there for fear of worse. Hazelwood got what he got just for repeating something. Imagine what's going to happen to the man who really said it.
And are we going to find out who really said it? Because he was, he's just relaying information. And he went shoot on the messenger. Damn.
Yes, he did. But either way, that's all the time we got.
Right?
Yeah, we got a show tomorrow night. We are doing tomorrow night with Wrestling Evolution, Boiling Point. Their show coming up this weekend, so we'll be covering that tomorrow night. Thursday night, we got another show where we're talking all about all the latest of what's happenings, up to and including, tonight's NXT. We'll try to get some information out of tomorrow night's Dynamite. And we, of course, will be talking about Monday Night Raw. War Games is coming back to SummerSlam. And we'll be talking about the Saudi show, Crown Jewel. Folks, so we will see you live right here tomorrow night, where we talk about tomorrow. Remind Lorenzo to remind you to be here on time. So that we got covered. Lorenzo, did you get that? All right. Lorenzo nodded at me, so Lorenzo understood.
Yeah, he got it.
That's awesome. Tell Lorenzo to stay away from those bottles that you got right there. I need the llama.
Oh, he got to be in him before I did. That's why I had to teach him about the stones.
Gotcha. Like I said, brother, with me, it's all about being on the rocks.
Salute.
You guys have a great night.
And we'll see y'all mañana. Buenos Doritos, tomorrow. Buenos Nachos. And don't forget, buy our merch.
That's right. Buy our merch, and we'll see you at the Indies.